everyone. Welcome to another Gamer Social Club interview. Before we get into speaking with Carlos, remember, for everything gaming related for GSC, you can check out our website for all the news, reviews, guides, interviews, podcast, also on our YouTube channel as well. Today, I am joined by Carlos Valdes from Yangyang Mobile, the developer of the upcoming title High Times. Carlos, thanks for joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thanks again, Sean, for inviting me over for this interview. Great to be here.
Awesome. Carlos, I always like to ask this question to start off because I know the gaming industry has changed in so many years, and it used to be like I went solely in for game development as kind of like what brought me into the industry. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey into the world of game development? What brought you into this work, essentially?
Well, it's funny because in college I started out or even as a younger kid, I've always been interested in writing stories. I've been taking like a master's in creative writing, so I guess I had that dream of like, oh, what if I write a novel, short stories, so I've dipped my finger in that. But of course, my love has always been gaming. I mean, if you want to go as early as, when I was like 4 years old, right? The first time you pop a Nintendo controller in your hand and play Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog for Sega. I remember I got that as a Christmas present when I was, I think, 5 years old or 6 years old. It all starts there. And of course, it's funny because when I was, sort of writing in the literary world, right? They say, what are your inspirations? And, you bring up the regular, yes, I like, the novelist that you like, right? Oh, yeah. But at the back of my mind, I'm always like, but you know what? If I were to answer perfectly honestly, a lot of my inspirations for writing stories would come from games like Final Fantasy, right? Xenogears, those very narrative-driven focused games. And of course, back then I was like, a bit embarrassing. I won't say that, but anyways, then comes in Yangyang Mobile, where an indie studio from the Philippines. And back then, when we were new, one of the first types of games we decided to want to create were visual novels. And I guess the reason is, well, first off, on an indie scope, it's easier to build, right? A visual, you just need pictures and a good story to go along with it. And from there on out, we studied more, and I ended up writing for Yangyang Mobile. And yeah, I think I've been with them for almost like 8 to 9 years now. And so it's been going well. And I suppose at that point, I just sort of fell in love with the idea of not just writing a story, but also taking into mind like game design, how the interactivity can basically spur on. Basically, because coming from writing, it's a book that you can interact with, and that has other aspects like voice acting or art and all that. And so I guess at this point is when I connect our company's growth, right? Because our first visual novel was The Letter, which was a horror visual novel that we kickstarted.
Okay.
And and the gist of that game was it's a horror visual novel, and depending on your choices, every single character can live or die, right? And there's like a colorful cast of characters. And our next one was we decided, okay, we know that our strength lies in a sort of visual novel format. Our next game was Love Esquire, which was a also visual novel style, but this time we added a bit of RPG turn-by-turn elements. It's like it's a dating sim, it's like an anime dating sim where you could control a little and we decided, okay, in The Letter we had these little quick time events, right? So like the ghost is coming at you, you have to tap a button, you have to tap space rapidly to survive or else you'll die, right? And so people like that, and they said, oh, that really got me brought me for a loop there, because I was engaged in the ghost and then suddenly I have to press a button. And so we decided to expand. There are some life sim elements there. There were again, a turn-by-turn sort of JRPG system. So I think our goal as a company as we move forward is to just see how many more gameplay elements we can add to our visual novel form, right? I suppose sorry.
No. It's okay. I was gonna say, like, it's a perfect segue into, like, as somebody who's played has dabbled in the visual novel world. I remember a couple of years ago, I think mid-pandemic, I'm like, I've always heard these things about Clanad. Let me go play Clanad. It was like, kind of one of those quintessential visual novels. But like, even like you discussing the horror one, like the letter, and all I can think of immediately is like, not that it's kind of a visual novel, but like Doki Doki Literature Club, where it's like, let's take this like kind of
Mm.
not like not genre that's not unfamiliar with horror, but like let's take it like, let's make it look really cute, but then it's gonna be kind of horror at the end. So I guess that kind of leads to a perfect segue. As what are some of the inspirations that led into developing High Times? Obviously, with visual novels clearly being a key component of that, but were there other things that kind of helped really inform what the creation of High Times was?
So yeah, definitely. As we were making visual novels, we decided to find ways where we can integrate gameplay into it, right? And so our next step forward, we were thinking, what's a visual novel that allows you to really, have those breaks in between? You mentioned Doki Doki. Even that has those scenes where you have to make a poem, right?
Mhm.
And there's a bit of a story of interactivity told there, wherein like you put some words and that would trigger off of a character's likes, and you got to know the characters more through that. And the game that came to mind, which is an inspiration I think we wear pretty proudly on our sleeve, is Valhalla, the cyberpunk bartending,
Mhm.
game, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there you have a visual novel. You're in a counter. People go in and out. You meet a colorful cast of characters, and every now and then they're gonna ask you for a drink, and depending on what drinks you give them, you can get different conversations from it. So we were like, okay, that's something interesting. It's in our scope, but also it's a bit playful. Like you can put stuff together. And I think from there on out, that's why we were like, okay, but we don't want to just copy visual. We didn't want to just copy Valhalla, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, and so we were trying to, again, that game is amazing. We're huge fans of that game.
Mhm.
But we were thinking, of course, we don't want to make it like another bartending sim, right? How do we put our own twist to it?
Mhm.
And that's what came, and we came up with the idea of donuts. And so, and again, people ask us like, why donuts, right? You have all types of food, and we have just two simple reasons. One is that those old flash games, or like even Cooking Mama, where there's this viscerality in like putting together food, and you see it there. Now, Papa's Donateria, Papa's Pizzeria, right? Those kind of games.
Mhm.
And we were thinking, okay, if we're gonna do something like that, there's just something fun to just seeing all the colors of of those donut glazes that you put on the
Mhm.
donuts, and putting sprinkles. There's a bit of a childhood nostalgic
yeah.
joy. It brings us back to those web browser days if you played games like that. And that's the first reason. The second reason is more important. It's just that we really like donuts,
Fair.
and that's it.
Donuts are delicious at the end of the day.
Mhm.
It's interesting that you tap on that, like they like kind of like that nostalgia aspect of like like the colorful like palettes and things like that. It reminds me also of like there's that very niche market of game. Not, I don't even want to say it's niche anymore, where it's
Mm.
the people who
Mhm.
really 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 like designing things in video games. Like
Mm.
I want to build this to the exact way that I want to build it. I think of, granted, I know it's expanding it out much further, but like anyone who's played The Sims before, like this is a
Mm.
world that you are crafting from the ground up, essentially. So obviously High Time's a much more microcosm of like, we're just designing the donuts at the end of the day, but the donuts are guiding so much of the conversation and the story at the end of the day too.
Mhm.
It is one of the things my partner had mentioned playing the early access review of it, was that it's fun to see games that are very self-aware that they're games. And
Mhm.
she specifically stopped me, and she's like, I need to tell you what High Times was doing towards the end of the like the early access demo, where it was like discussing like, oh, what if this is all, like, no, this is it, this is the end of this, like, what if we are all just pixels at the end of the day? And I guess like, what kind of serves as that inspiration for like that kind of self-awareness, almost fourth wall breaking of like the game being aware that it is a game at the end of the day?
Well, again, you mentioned how donuts are very colorful, right?
Mhm.
And so that really, I think that created the foundation of what informed a lot of what we wanted our game to be about. Because when you go all those bright colors, therefore the world can't be boring, right? And so again, the hot box, the place where the game takes place, and you're basically your donut shop, right? We had to make it colorful, and then
Yeah.
from there on out, therefore the story, it has to be quirky and colorful as well. So actually, for this game, one of the earliest things we made was like the character designs, and already like you got MJ with her green hair and Lucy with her rainbow hair. You got all these crazy character designs, these colorful character designs. And after seeing that, after sitting with that, we were like, well, there's no way this game's going to be super serious all the time. It's got to be quirky. It's got to be a bit funny, it's a bit satirical. Right? We have a social media aspect, and like there's lots of satire, kind of poking fun at the modern social media there. And so and actually that last scene was we just had to make an ending for the game, and at that point we were like, well, if we're gonna end it, let's just go quirky and just make a ending where Connor is like, oh, this is all but a temporary existence, I hope to see you in the full game. We liked it so much, actually. As you have played it, it's voice acted, right?
Yeah.
Initially that wasn't supposed to be voice acted, but we were like, you know what, people, let's voice act it for the fun of it. And yeah, so definitely I would say the tone we agreed upon the game is a bit quirky, right? You can say a lot of funny things. The characters themselves are let's just say they are playfully eccentric, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, when making it, we wanted everyone to have a bit of a weird quirk, right? Strangely enough, it's a dating sim, right? But we were also balancing the fact of like, how far can we push red flags into our dating sim characters? Because usually in a dating sim, everyone's gonna, not all the time, of course. You can have really complex and nuanced characters, and you won't like all of them right away. But we were kind of playfully talking about how far can we push the red flags. Like MJ comes and she's like, hey, bring me back to your apartment. I need to go there. And then or like Harry, of course, just basically negging you the whole time, being that the textbook tsundere snobby guy.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, just to, and again, that's what led to some of the romantic interests, a lot of them actually being your exes, right? Just like taking inspiration for stuff like comic books, right? Scott Pilgrim.
I was gonna say very
Exes.
Scott Pilgrim-esque. The moment you mentioned it's X is like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Earlier on, we were. I mean, again, it just so happened we decided to make it about X's. But yeah, earlier on we were mentioning like, it's like, oh, you got all these X's coming back. What are you gonna do now? You're in hard mode because you're in the back foot. You're not meeting these girls and guys for the first time. You got baggage with them.
Yeah.
Now, how are you gonna solve your baggage moving forward? Are you gonna make good in the past and sort of redeem both yourself and them through a couple of choice words and good donuts, or will you guys fall back into bad habits and maybe nothing will work out?
It's funny that you mentioned like the VA work, because like like I know that you guys had mentioned like that there was going to be VA work, and I have to ask, you guys pulled a pretty big name for the game with Johnny Young Bosch. like how did that come about, if you're at liberty to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at liberty, and I think your reaction is the same as mine. How did we do that?
Because you hear Johnny Young Bosch, like you hear like he's a very big VA in like the anime community in English dubbing. So
not to fanboy, but like he's also like one of my, if not my favorite VA of all time. I remember he was the first VA whose name I took to memory when I was I think a teenager. Eureka 7, right? His Ichigo from Bleach, Lelouch of the Rebellion, like all those roles, and I was like, wait a minute, I really like that voice actor. What's his name? Johnny Young Bosch. And then you find out he's a Power Ranger, and so I remember as a kid, I would really just I was a big fan, and so again, we are working with Sound Cadence. They are a brilliant voice acting studio. We've been working with them since our first game, right? And they've always really just hooked us up with some of the best voice actors ever, and we're so lucky. So for this time, we put out the auditions, and it's really funny because we didn't have anyone at first specific in mind when we wrote Harry. We just knew, we were sort of as writers, we sort of read out the lines and we sort of imitate him. And then we were talking about like, oh yeah, that character. And in my mind, I was like, kind of like, Jean-Young Bosch's Lelouch. And when I said that, I had no idea that we would literally have Jean-Young Bosch Lelouch as voicing him, and it is mind blowing. And so to be honest, I don't know. We're just really lucky again. To this day, I pinch myself, and I'm like, wow, that happened. That's amazing.
That's just
and of course, he's been a blast to work with. It's
amazing. I think it just speaks to kind of, I think it also speaks to really too about how much more. I mean, and this is me, like, I've had this conversation so many times at PAX East, but like, and other gaming conventions, like, that how much bigger the indie game scene is becoming now, and it's not like you're not gonna, not to say that you're not going to see those big names in AAA games. You're going to start seeing them in like, smaller indie games and like small dev team games as well, just because there's such a growing market for those types of games. As somebody who pretty much plus minus exclusively does a lot of indie gaming, I obviously have my, oddball AAA here and there. Most of what I play is indie at the end of the day, so I think it's very just nice to see that, like, there is the due diligence and the focus is going into that area of the gaming sphere at the end of the day. I think I think one of the things that I always enjoy as well is, like, as a fan of, like, TV shows like Futurama, where like we're very much going to play with puns about, like, actual trademarked terms, and we're gonna make fun of them a little bit. Like, you guys have a lot of those in the game. You have Starducks versus Starbucks. There's Tumblrina. It's not the musical Wicked, it's Wretched. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite one in High Times that you guys did?
Oh, well, I do have one personally. It's a soft spoiler because I'm not. I don't think it's come out in the demo yet, right? But in the Kickstarter page, I think we already revealed voice by Kaylee Mills. There's a character called Zoe, and she's a streamer. She's like a gaming streamer, right? And in her arc, you discover. So again, we're all gamers, so there's a big, we got a lot of a lot of puns to make there. In this universe, they have Dolafs, Dolafls, and it's defense. Wait, I wrote it down. I just want to check. I could be wrong, but like it's defense of the League of Ancients of Fortnite Storm. And so, it's like it's just like League of Legends, Dota,
I love that.
Fortnite, Storm, all that, Heroes of the Storm, and we just like tied it all together. It is the critically acclaimed League of it's the critically acclaimed MOBA MMORPG fighting game. We just had fun.
I just
things into one.
I just love that because you do hear that sometimes in the gaming industry. Like, it's like, how many like acronyms and game types can we like slap onto this game? And it's like, guys, at a certain point, what are you doing with this game? Because it's a MOBA and an RPG. Like, explain for a moment for me.
Yeah. I don't even know myself. We just like, how does a game do all that? I don't know. That was the game, but that's the hit game right now. It's Dolafs.
Speaking of characters, do you have a favorite character in High Times? And without spoilers, if possible, why are they your favorite character?
Oh man, that's hard.
It's like asking who's your favorite child. I know.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I'm gonna lean because, like, certain characters I wrote more than others, edited some, but I would say by default I'm just gonna have to name probably a character that I myself didn't write that much, right? And so it's not one of the main X's, but don't get me wrong, like I love of course, how can you not like Harry Yen, and voiced by Yangyang Mobile, super cool. MJ is also really cool. But like for me, my favorite is Riri. You haven't met her yet, but she's very distinct. She's the girl in a chicken suit. yeah, in her Kickstarter page, one of the characters, she's by no means a minor character, but she's not, her arc is not as long as the full blown romanceable characters, but she does play a role and she appears in other people's arcs.
Okay.
And the whole shtick is, when we initially came up with her, is she's a girl in a chicken suit, and does she wear a chicken suit because she likes chickens as pets, or does she like chickens as food? And the answer is yes, she does both. Chickens are friends and food. And she's here on a trip to San Mazo of self-discovery, and she wants to, because San Mazo's known for its, its chicken farms. And so she's, I don't want to say too much. I'll just leave it at that. She has a couple of twists and turns and secrets, but stuff like that. Basically.
No. Say go ahead.
Yeah, and I think I just want to add, it was fun writing her. She's sort of the fish out of water. Eileen Monty, her VA, did an awesome job giving this sort of created accent that was like an Eastern European accent. You'll hear it when you meet her in game, but I just found that character so fun.
I love it. I love when you can just play with when you can develop so many unique characters in a game, and that they don't feel just very one-dimensional, which I do. And I think that does speak to just the creative endeavors that do go on in the gaming scene. I guess to kind of start bringing things home, this is something I always ask developers. I think we talked about this before we even started the call. Obviously, as as a game developer, you eat, sleep, and breathe video games. Now, I would always say that I hope that gaming hasn't taken the concept of gaming as a job for you hasn't taken away from your enjoyment of gaming. So I guess if you could tell people, what are games that you're currently obsessed with right now, or games that have just served as hallmark games for you in your life.
Oh boy, there's a lot. So first off, as just constant Claire Obscure, right? That was a recent game. I love that. But I think everyone said everything they could about why that game's cool. So again, love the narrative of that game, and of course the gameplay was awesome as well. Even though I suck at pairing. The Persona series, right? Of course, JRPGs in general, Final Fantasy, but the Persona series is great because that's basically one of the really great ways to gamify a visual novel, right? You have character arcs. In fact, when we were writing, whenever we write scenes, both for this game and Love Esquire, right? These are dating sims, right? It's always been a big inspiration. Like, how do you make a character both quirky on the outside, but how do you give them depth, right? Because that's another thing I'd like to say. Like, we were talking about how the game is quirky, and that was our goal, but also, hopefully, again, fingers crossed, as you get to know them more, there's a bit more than meets the eye. And our goal is we're gonna make you laugh in the first few scenes, and then hopefully by the end we're getting you to tear up and cry.
All I can think of with that is mentioning specifically Persona. All I can think of is Yusuke from Persona 5, where it's just he is so odd of a character, but when you really get into it, he's got a very sad story, but it's just but he is just so weird. It's weird to a comical point.
And then he brings out that technically I was abused. I mean, I don't want to spoil for that game, but I was abused by my master.
It's a 10-year-old. It's a 10-year-old game at this point. My logic, it's I always jokingly say it's been 10 years. I hate to say it at this point.
So my mother, illustrated in the painting. You're like, whoa! I thought we were just gonna, hang around in a boat and be romantic together for this one scene. And are you coming up with weird art ideas? I would say another game is Slay the Spire 2. I mentioned that, and that has nothing to do with the type of genre of games we do. But as I mentioned, sometimes when you're working on this type of game, the decompression game, the game that you do to chill out, becomes something that's totally not in that genre. So deck building, card building, I love that. So that's my current hyper fixation. Slay the Spire 2 is just really fun.
It's definitely become a lot of my free time now, and having a Steam Deck does not help. Where it's just normally it'd be okay, I only can do this on my computer. It's well, now I can just do this wherever. So it's I'm laying in bed. I'm I could do a run of Slay the Spire. I literally did last night. I did 2 runs as the defect. I flubbed both of them. It's
Oh, yeah, it
fine.
breaks my heart. Have a hard time with that character.
I
You're literally never bored. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never bored now.
yeah,
I can
it's
just bring it out.
exactly. I think do you have a favorite from Slay the Spire 2 as far as like, which character to run with?
Oh, see, from one, I like I've always been a silent, so right
Mhm.
now I like the silent, but now I might say might be the Necrobinder or the
Mm.
Regent, just because it's such a fresh perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably the Regent, just because I was having a really hard time, and then something clicked with the character. Now I think I'm on Ascension 8 or 9, and not a 10 yet, but like yeah, it was enjoyable. Just like having to re-experience a new class and adjust to that. But yeah, that
I
was
think
fun.
the highest I've been able to push is I have the silent at Ascension 4 right now. The region I have not even finished a run with yet. I'm close to that clicking point with his builds. I think it's like I'm just almost there. I'm like, I think I know what I'm supposed to be doing with him, but it's still not fully clicking as far as what do I need to be looking for. The Necrobinder, I jokingly have kind of said, I'm like, either are you doing an Osti build or are you doing a Doom build at this point
Yeah.
when it comes to the Necrobinder? Anything else, that's kind of been, an inspiration for you when it comes to gaming, or just something that you also find yourself like kind of like going back to time and time again?
Oh man, so Undertale actually. So that was another game that puts you through the ringer story wise. This just Final Fantasy. I'm also playing the critically acclaimed MMORPG FF14. Again, that game, people say it's an MMORPG. That game is basically a visual novel sometimes. I swear to
Yeah.
God, there's like 2 hour long cutscenes or 1 hour long cutscenes. So that game was also a blast. The Clair Obscure I mentioned before. On the indie side, been playing a bit of farming sims and Stardew, Coral Island, stuff like that. What else? I just bought like Slay the Princess. I haven't played that yet, but that's also another visual novel game that I'm looking forward to play.
That's one that's been on my wish list for a long time, and I'm just like, I keep looking at it, I'm like, I probably would like it. I know I would, but then I keep staring at my backlog. I'm like, do I need another game that's gonna sit there?
Oh yeah, the infamous Steam library of like games that are never touched.
I have games in there that I know, like, games like Disgaea and like a few of the Tales games. I'm like, those are like 70, 80-hour games I already know that are just sitting in my backlog. So it's like,
This guy is also fun. I remember playing that when I was a teenager, and like the quirky, the humor there is also really funny. So yeah, that was also a blast.
So Carlos, I guess to kind of bring things home, where can people find more about High Times, about the game's upcoming release, things like that?
Actually, so about that, we just released the announcement date for our game. It's coming out July 23. So save the date. We're really excited for it. Hard at work making sure it's all ready by then. So yeah, the game will be available on Steam, and of course, even we're aiming for multi platform release as well.
Awesome.
So stuff like Switch. Yeah, it's all Switch and even like PlayStation.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's going to be on different consoles, July 23. If you want more information, check out our Steam page. I can give you links, but basically, High Times on Steam.
I'll put the links. I'll put the links in the video links. So.
Our Twitter is, of course, we constantly mention stuff about the game. We have posts going up. But that's basically and so July 23, save the date. We're excited for the release.
Awesome. Well, Carlos, thank you so much. I already know GSC will be covering it because I know my partner will be covering it. Again, check out more about High Times on their Steam page, on their social media stuff. We will link those below. And Carlos, thank you so much for joining me to kind of chat, and we will catch you all next time. Bye, everybody.
See ya.